This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. So we have Aubrey and Z. And you can see her full name down there, which I don't know if you wanted, but
Okay.
Okay.
Call me Zero, you call me Z.
Yeah. So we're all here together again to talk about the class that we're going to be doing, and also to address, there were some comments in the last video that people were basically offended by joy. So I think we need to address that and talk a little bit about consciousness, where it needs to be, and how we can kind of get to that point. That's what the class is for. And really, the thing that a lot of people don't think about is we create our own reality. So we're choosing what we're doing. We're choosing our life. We've chose to come here. We're a sovereign being. And I did mention something earlier today in another show, and I think I'll mention it now, but basically, I remember choosing to come. And you guys probably remember choosing to come as well. Mm-hmm. But I remember choosing to come, and that was a memory that just was given to me. But also, when I was 7, I had an opportunity to leave. And so I had this near-death experience. And before that, several months before that, I was on the school bus. I was 7 years old, and we were going out of the canyon where I lived, and 3 angels appeared in front of me. And they said to me one sentence: "We will always keep you safe." So when they said that, I knew that was important. So I remembered it. And then in January, so that was in September, I think, maybe October. And in January, I ended up with asthma, pneumonia, and bronchitis. And on the way to the hospital, we were snowed in. So on the way to the hospital, I stopped breathing. And when I went into that white space where you kind of decide, what are you going to do next? I asked a question, and I said, is my family going to be okay if I leave? Because I was kind of excited to go, honestly, because it was very calm. I was doing fine in there, and I knew where I would go back to. But I was told they would not make it. The family would fall apart. So I went back in, and that was my choice. And I think that a lot of people, we think that we're victims of our circumstance when we're actually not. We're choosing our circumstance.
Right. Like how could I possibly be happy with this happening this happening to me? I have way too much trauma to to laugh, to have joy, and that's a belief system that is what is causing those circumstances.
Right. Yeah. And joy is how we affect more people. So we actually elevate more people if we're in joy. I think it's 100,000 if you're in love and 500,000 if you're in joy. Right. Yeah. So
far more powerful than fear.
Yeah. Fear, you're actually dropping people down. So right now, Ascension, we came here to help with Ascension, to participate in Ascension, to enjoy it, and to learn things. Mm-hmm. And holding on to that baggage that's weighting us down is like basically putting your feet in cement buckets and, going in the ocean. Exactly. So it's really important that we start to let go of the trauma that's holding us down.
And I think also to ask yourself often, am I having fun doing it? Like if you're choosing into doing something, that means you've already chosen into doing it, and you can either do it and not have fun or do it and have fun. And it's that simple of a choice.
Yeah. Yep. So I just wanted to address that. I know a lot of people were very happy and really enjoyed all the laughter, and a lot of people were offended. So we're going to get those triggers coming up, and think of those also as a gift, because then you can resolve the trauma where the trigger came from.
Exactly.
It's really good at this point, to then realize that we are all mirrors for each other. And when a trigger point does come up like that, that's just another aspect to look in itself. And we all have to do it. And I have been in that state where I've had somebody laugh and I'm like, I know I can't be there right now. And I had to look at my own trigger within myself, because that's exactly what that is. And it is a choice. I had to make a choice to be like, I can sit in that for like a few cycles, or I can create another story around it and be joyful around it. And that in and of itself increased my frequency so much that I dropped everything. And that's the beautiful process of that. As soon as you have the ability to drop it, that joy factor, that innocent child factor comes up, and you are affecting so many that are around you and the earth itself, all of consciousness, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're so much more powerful than we know.
So much.
So much. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the main thing I just wanted to bring up at the beginning. Also, so our class, we're going to be doing the tools for Ascension. And Ascension, the first class is Ascension, where does the soul go? So do you want to explain that a little bit to us, Aubrey?
Yeah. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what your soul is, and kind of what the ascension process really is in the first place. And it's important to remember when we talk about ascension that it looks different for every single person. Every single person's ascension path and the way that you experience ascension is completely different from everyone else's, because the whole point of it all is to expand experience and information to bring it back to source. And we've chosen to experience in separate bodies and separate perspectives. And so your ascension path is going to look completely different from Honey's, from Z's, from mine.
Mm-hmm.
From your brothers, from your husbands. Like your ascension path is completely unique to you. So what we're trying to do with the Ascension Toolbox here is to give tools that are standard across the board, because there are a couple things that you need for ascension, like the ability to look inside, the ability to recognize when someone else is mirroring aspects of you, and how to learn from them. And so this subscription that we're putting together here it's a monthly class where you basically get assignments and real tools that you can work on yourself in order to be more familiar with ascension.
Yeah. Well, and half the class is going to be us talking about it and giving the tools. Then the other half is going to be a discussion, you guys asking questions, which exactly. I think is really helpful, because then it makes it more clear to everybody.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
It really gives you a solid foundation of what you're experiencing currently and how you can use that experience to elevate your ascension process and really enhance your human experience here. Really learn to get into those joy spaces and work your pathway in a really, really beautiful way. That is what we're looking for here, and bringing in lots of joy.
Yeah.
Laughter.
It's so good to laugh, even if it's about something really dorky or something gross. Just do it,
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. So there's a few things we're going to talk about in the first class. One of them is travel time in the astral. So I'm going to have Z explain that a little bit.
Absolutely. So in dream time, and even not now, since we're moving into ascension state, our astral bodies they're linked to our physical consciousness, but they're the part of us that is working consciousness as a whole. We are out traveling, we're doing work, we're working with Mother Earth, we're working with others, especially at night in our dream time when our physical consciousness goes to sleep a little bit, and that's when the work really starts. So by understanding the traveling process and how to really ground yourself in that, how to move about that, and also have an understanding of what you're doing, you can fully experience in a completely new and beautiful way. So we're looking at tools to keep you settled and grounded in your system. We're looking at some interpretations too of when you're out and you're like, I don't know, like we'll help you work that aspect of things too, working the grid system, having an understanding of like who you're meeting up with, and also calling that in, being really in intention about what you're doing with your travel. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm honestly very excited about that because I barely ever remember what I'm doing at night.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and I think everyone should keep in mind that if you want to remember more of your dreams, or if your dreams are affecting you in ways that you don't want, you can talk to your higher self and work with your higher self in order to remember your dreams more. If that's what, if you want that information, you can ask your, you can talk to yourself and get more information. If that's what you want.
And that's where the intentionality comes in as well too. Be very intentional about it, because you are the director there and consciousness will follow your lead. So
I've had times where my astral experiences were a little overwhelming, and I actually kind of asked to shut it down for a while and not remember because it was affecting my day-to-day life,
I just don't have any very much anymore. There was a point where I was just controlling them all, the dreams themselves. And then I didn't like the ending, so I'd go back and fix it. And then if I still didn't like it, I'd go back and fix it. So those kind of things, but it's the travel part that I'm really intrigued by. And I think a lot of people want to know, what am I doing at night? Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it in the class, but like if you're having really, really vivid dreams, you are working. Those are things that you're actually doing, and conversations you're actually having.
Absolutely. And you're also in processing state, and you're also healing your physical body. You do a lot of processing work at night too. So that's another aspect that we'll bring in to help you support your system through that as well.
Yeah, that'll be really good. And then another thing that's going to be in the first class is 28 days of transmutation. So maybe Aubrey can share.
Yeah, and this is, we're going to be giving some tools. Like I said, we're going to be basically giving you homework. And in our first class, one of those things that we're going to be doing is a clearing in which you call back your energy and really focus for 28 days in a row on bringing in more of yourself and letting go of things that aren't yours, and just doing it again and again and again so that your system can learn how to do it clearly.
Awesome. So really learning how to let go of attachments.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, our second class is going to be really focusing especially on attachments.
Yeah, because they're what hold you back, really. We have a lot of attachments to the 3D physical plane. And as we let go of those, as we worry about them less, and we don't feel like they're a burden or that we need them, then they're going to become less and less important. And we're going to be able to
you won't have room for the new beautiful things that your ascension is going to bring into your life if you're still holding on to everything that
yeah, it's like holding on to a bad relationship. And you're like, yeah.
You're like, I know it's bad. I know it is, but that's where the thought comes in, and you keep going along with it, trudging that mud, but there are pieces of this that are good. If you're feeling like, man, this is heavy, I know it's not good. There are points now to completely detach from that, because there is something better for you out there. And essentially it is yourself. I mean, that's really what we're looking at, is the fullness of yourself. And by doing that, you're going to attract the relationships that you want into your life. So,
yeah. And also the expectations, like letting go of those attachments. And we're going to teach you how to let go of new attachments. Like if you form another one, how do you let it go? How do you clear yourself of it? Because it's really not that hard, but it's not something a lot of people teach.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah.
The actual process of it is something that people don't, I haven't seen it taught in a way that makes it simple. And that's what we want to do. We want to make things simple for you guys so that you can move closer and closer to yourself and to that ascension point, which is, I mean, it's already here, but we're looking at simple here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is energy. And if you can learn how to manipulate your own energy, then you're going to change everything that's out in front of you. So it's going to be completely different. Another thing that we're going to be talking about is how people want to be, they think they need to stay small, when actually we need to kind of break out and learn how to love who we actually are and be the person that we came here to be.
Mm-hmm. That staying small aspect, it comes back into the first aspects of humans when they felt like they needed to be small, again, to protect themselves. All of that networking and wiring that has been in the brain for safety, again, is no longer there. So we're going to further break out of like the need to stay small, because if I stay small, then I'm not going to look so intimidating to something who's going to get me out there. So it is time to be in ourselves and our biggest and brightest ever.
Yeah. Yeah, to be comfortable being weird.
Yeah.
Being yourself. Yeah.
And the more that we move into these new crystalline systems, there is no such thing as needing to protect yourself, because what if it's basically just the more whole in yourself that you become, the more control you have over what you're experiencing or not experiencing. And so if something's coming at you, you can just be like, oh, why? You can self-reflect as to why you're allowing that into your existence, and then you can just choose out of that. You can just choose to not experience it, and then it won't affect you because you made that choice.
And that is manipulation of your energy, to just be like, yeah, no, that's not in my existence. And you kind of, you turn the other way and you go, okay, I'm going to make a story and laugh about it, and I'm going to continue on my way. So it is about manipulating your own energy and learning how to, that we want you to learn how to manipulate your own energy.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're not in the place where we're accepting what others are proposing for us anymore. It's about what we want and our own sovereignty, which that's what this time is really about, because we haven't, as humanity, we haven't been sovereign. But now it's time to be that in every single way. Yeah.
And sovereignty is going to be a class that we will be teaching in our toolbox.
Yes, definitely. So the second, we're just going to talk about the first two in the subscription. There's going to be 6. But the second one, oh, I think we already did talk about that, actually. So let's talk about our workshop. So we're going to do an additional thing because it's become kind of a big topic, and it's going to be something that's prevalent for this time. And that is the walk-in and walk-out workshop. Yeah. So that's the soul walk-ins, the braids, the aspects, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it took me a long time to get my head around that too. I was like,
Yeah. Well, at this next stage of ascension that we're in, or the stage of ascension that we're currently in as a collective, it involves a lot of walking in and walking out. As we're raising the vibration of the entire planet, there have been a lot of souls that couldn't hang and have had to leave, or there are a lot of souls that are coming for a specific part of the ascension process, and so they're coming in for that. And so most of the population at this point are like most of you have had walk-ins. And so we want to really focus on educating on what exactly that is, and how to work with it within yourself.
Yeah. And also, what does that mean? How big of a, is that everything walked out, or just something walked in and communicated, like with Dana? Or is it just pieces that have come in from our higher being? or, you know, what is it exactly? And I think that's going to be really good. And we're actually going to be talking to each individual in that workshop. And Z is going to be accessing the Akash, and go ahead and tell them what you're going to do, Z.
Well, essentially with walk-ins, I mean, it's kind of an aspect of all of those that you said. And I think the main important thing here is we want to calm you about the fact that it is a normal thing, and it's a normal thing that's happening. And it's like a spark. It's like another spark that comes in to learn. And it doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't mean that your entire existence is going to flop over and change. It can actually be very enhancing. So what I'm going to do is just take a look at the individual records and let you know if you've had a walk-in, the time and the date, what kind of a walk-in it is, so that you have a little bit more information, and then start to integrate that into your system so that you can move forward with it and you're not caught up on the walk-in itself. Because the main thing is to not get caught up on the walk-in. Really what Source is trying to say is that there is a higher aspect of Source coming down to experience through you, settle into your system, and to help the increase in consciousness in the Ascension here. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss some of the changes and things that can happen to help you move through that and give you some tools to work through it.
Yeah. I've found as you're getting a new aspect, or even like a new being that's coming in to braid along with the other one, a lot of times you go through a detox too. Like your body. Yeah, your system does go through a detox. And I can talk through my experience because I walked in right smack during the middle of COVID. And so what happens with a walk-in essentially, and where we're at right now, it's generally the soul has a contract and it contracts with a new, and right now they're higher frequencies. Across the board, they're all higher frequencies. Whether the previous soul in this vessel had decided that she was completely done, and she also needed a little bit of assistance clearing some of the genetic processes that were happening in the ancestral line. And so I contracted with her to come in, and she did all of the pre-work for me to come in as a, and it's not that there's a hierarchy in this, it's just there's a pure spark that comes in, and the frequency itself is really intense. So as that came in, my higher self and consciousness couldn't fully embody the vessel right away because there was too much energy running through there. And so I slowly walked in, and all of the stuff from the previous soul is what needed to come up and out. And that's a detox process. So, and it can go really smoothly and really fast. It could be like a video where you're kind of just experiencing what they're doing, or it could be like, okay, you're down for a while, you're detoxing. The whole system has to detox in order to allow your energy to fully embody. Yeah.
And when you see things like when people talk about NPCs, what's actually happening, there aren't any bodies on the planet that aren't meant to hold a soul, but there are bodies that have so much trauma or belief systems that that it's really hard for a soul to get into the body, and so they'll hold a smaller spark, or sometimes they'll just have a stream of source consciousness while souls are trying to kind of figure out how to actually get into the experience.
Yeah. That is how I got it too. Only part of it was the incubator baby stuff, which I can't really talk about too much on YouTube, but there was a lot of stuff that happened, and that caused some fractures and smaller pieces too. Yeah,
that's true.
It's really depending on the consciousness and the human vessel and what is agreed upon in the contracts to how they're going to experience the walk-in, because the walk-in itself is the experience itself. So it can be something very, very beautiful, and something that if there is to be a braid, sometimes the previous soul stays in and that new spark of consciousness comes in and braids with that soul, and then it creates a balance within the system. Sometimes soul consciousness just leaves. Sometimes there's an accident or a sickness, and that particular soul is now, it's time to go, and there's a bright and new one that comes in that's there and available to integrate. So the integration just depends on what's contracted, and that's what we're going to look at.
Yeah.
Well, and like some souls will walk in just to experience what it feels like to die at 70 years old, surrounded by your family. There's something about that experience that they needed to learn, and so part of walking into a vessel is taking on the entire lifetime of the vessel as if it were your own. And there's a lot of souls have been having a hard time walking in because they kind of get in here and like, I didn't make this mess, it's not mine. And that makes it so they can't actually fully embody the experience. So it's when you're looking back on your life and you're like, well, if I'm such a high dimensional being, why did I do this or that? And instead of focusing on how alienated you feel from the experience, you focus more on what you're going on the here and now and what you're going to do next. Like how am I going to clean up the messes that I have put myself in, and how am I going to react in this present moment?
Yeah.
And be here.
Yeah, they're all just lesson aspects, and in reality too, that consciousness coming in is there to learn the same lessons as it's the same lessons that consciousness is learning. So whatever it shifts into that body to learn, to clear out, it's running through the same process as if it were the actual being that was in there to start with. So
yeah, it's really interesting to watch and also to experience some of it yourself. I know I got in a new big aspect one day and I had a fever for a couple hours and then I was fine, but it kind of sat in there for a while. And then all of a sudden it just kind of was there with the rest of me. And it gave me a lot of balance, actually. So I became more balanced at that point. And that's been really good for me. And I think that you can look forward to it being good almost all of the time. Yeah. There's been very few bad ones, but I mean, we did talk about a bad one recently, but then it was fixed.
It's a learning process across the board. And so one of the things I love most about walking in, because when a consciousness walks into a body, into a vessel, they start coding the DNA to the consciousness. And so it's if you stay longer, it gets easier and easier to be in your body. But when that consciousness then leaves, the body is then coded with all of that information. So when a new soul comes in, now you are a concert pianist all of a sudden, you get access to all of the skill sets and information that the previous soul coded the body with. And it's one of the most beautiful ways in the universe to learn from each other. You get to actually experience having the information that someone else has.
Yeah. Quantum stuff. That's like quantum jumping almost.
it is.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So we just wanted to bring these things up to you guys and let you know the links are going to be below. But our purpose here is to assist with Ascension and also to do it ourselves. So that's, what we're doing and sharing. And I think everybody that is watching this is really, you're here for the same thing. And that's why you're listening still. So I'm excited to meet, more of you and walk through this all together, because we're also gathering right now. And I know, being with my soul tribe, the beings that have been my family for eons, it's so fun. It's so much fun. And to spend time just in joy with that is, it's really, really good. So I'm excited to meet more of you.
And
So excited.
for those of you who haven't found your soul families or feel isolated or don't or having or feel like you haven't reached that point yet, the best way to get in contact with your soul family is through yourself, is looking inside, because even if they're not incarnated around you, that they're still accessible to you, and you really can have relationships with them, and you know, you can be completely alone in a room and not be alone at all, and laugh and play and play, you know, joke around with your soul family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, those imaginary friends weren't always so imaginary after all. So yeah, this has been great.
It's okay to still have those imaginary friends around, but they really are your family. So if you are in with yourself and you're really sitting with the joy aspect and you're calling in your family, just get a sense of like who it is around, what's making you feel joyful, because they are all right there. And that's also, they're all also in the physical too. You'll attract more of them to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard to find your family's frequency if they're playing it small. If someone is, if you yourself are being small, or are not being fully you, they can't track your frequency. They can't find you.
Yeah, that's massive. That's really important to know. I know I've found so many of them, and it's been through the process of doing the things that my higher being asked me to do. So getting a whole lot bigger than I was necessarily comfortable with at the time, and being my weird self.
Yeah, it really, really takes being a little bit vulnerable, and that's where we want to just put it out. It's like okay to be vulnerable, like get out there, and even if it's like a tiny little bit, because that's how our systems kind of work in these little increments. And I know what we're moving fast now, but if you're at this starting point and you're like, I don't know how to, I'm not exactly sure, just try it. Just do something funky for a minute, like go out and wear a really silly hat or whatever the case is. Like, you know, get vulnerable and get out there.
Yeah. Yeah. We have so much like inside of us that wants to come out. So
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's what Ascension is going to be. It is going to be a lot of fun. Just think about, we can't even imagine how beautiful this thing is that we're creating, this new earth. So, I mean, I've seen bits and pieces, but
it's beautiful and hilarious.
it is hilarious. It's so much fun. It really is. It's an incredible playground. It was what this is too, but this is stepping into like everything is really blissful and it's really joyful, and it is you. So it's about embracing that as well. And it's here.
yeah.
Ascension is not something that's going to be happening soon. Ascension is what's happening currently right now. Yeah. And you can choose in, you can choose out. It's up to you.
Exactly. Love this, you guys. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.